Hello and welcome again to Streetwise Economics episode where we talk about money and finance. And as usual, I have my co-host here, our trusted money coach, Blooming Umorin. She's wonderful, I tell you. And today we are going to talk about what's going on in the market right now in real time. And then we'll talk about stocks, what's going on in the equities market. There's a lot of things going on with President Trump's administration, making some announcements. So we are going to dive deeper into that to kind of like share our insights and then talk about, crypto, because there's a lot of stuff that is happening, especially with the um, issues to do with, potentially having a strategic reserve on crypto. So without further ado, help me welcome my friend and colleague again.
Yeah, thank you so much, Isaac. Every Friday is an exciting time to talk about what's going on in the market. So let's get started.
Fantastic. I think without further ado, let's just see what's going on in the market as a basis for our conversation. So on the chart, you can see that the markets, I can start from here. The equities market is largely red. You can see that, most stocks, the S&P 500 is actually 0.36% down. And also companies like Nvidia, they are also down. And Tesla actually is 1.08% down. But what I find interesting is that the German market was also down, the equities market, as you can see the DAX here. And gold is green. This is something that we have been observing. And the euro to the US dollar, it's also green. In other words, what this means is that the euro is appreciated. And Bitcoin, and we'll talk more about that, they hit another all-time high again, but still today it's also green. And Ethereum is also green. So the crypto market, if you look at crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, they are green. And the equities market, largely the S&P 500 is negative. In other words, it's down. And big tech companies, I think they are the ones that are driving the equities market down because you can see they are down. But before I do a bit of analysis here, I wanted to pick your brains, Coach. What do you think is going on in the market? What is going on now?
I wish I had the answer to that, but I think this is just the normal course of just running the stock market or just the stock
Yes,
market operation. Just this week the stock market has been up. We saw the S&P 500 yesterday reach another all-time high. The Nasdaq has been high, the
yes,
Dow Jones too has been high. So it's normal for us to have this correction or this retracing. So
yes,
I mean, to me, it's a nothing burger. It's just
yes,
business as usual. So whether the Dow is down today 1% or 2%, it's not really a big deal. The most important thing is to focus on the trajectory, like what is the trend that this is giving
yes,
us, and we can see that the chart is telling us that this is moving up to
yes,
the upward, right? So I'm
yes,
fine with that, provided it's going upward, right?
yes. Fantastic. What Coach Blooming is saying here is if you look at the trend line here, you can see that if I had invested in the S&P 500 over these years, right, it has been going up. So you can see here that even though from time to time it does retrace to some levels, which is okay because people have to take profits. Sometimes there's news that comes out and it may be not so nice. And what then happens is that we see these pullbacks. But most recently, I think in December, we saw that the S&P 500, it retraced uh, to, I think it was 4 or 5% around there. But some people panicked and said, okay, maybe this year it might be a bearish year. We don't know yet. It's not
Mhm.
impossible. And I'm not saying it's possible, it's what's going to happen. But the thing is, like, when I look at the market, I like to look at, to just balance the risks and the potential. But overall, if I look at this trend, it's upward. If I look at the Dow Jones, the industrial companies, it's also upward trending. If I look at the Nasdaq, right? If I look at the Nasdaq, let me look for the Nasdaq. You can see that the Nasdaq, let me see if it's gonna give me the Nasdaq here. So let me check this one here. So you will see that the Nasdaq, in this case also, let me see where it went here. It's right here. So you can see it's also upward trending. Even though this one, you can see that it's quite volatile, right? It goes up and down. So the bottom line there, I think what Coach just mentioned there is that as a long-term focused investor, I think as long as you invest in things that have strong fundamentals, and the S&P being a group of the top capitalized companies from across different sectors of the US economy, they've tended to perform quite well, right? Giving an average of about 10%, but the past 2 years, they've returned about 25%,
Yeah.
24% back to back annually. And what that means is you would have gotten 50% if you invested over the past 3 years without getting in and
Doing
getting
anything.
out.
Yep.
So what's your message on that, Coach?
So I just think that again, the market is, I mean, when I say the market, stocks, crypto, it's
Equities.
just a good way to just build wealth over time. Because we're saying that I think last year the S&P 500 was around 24%.
Yes.
The previous year too was in the neighborhood of the 20s. We don't know what 2025 is going to be, but we're
Yes.
hoping that this is going to be a bullish year. And it's just a no-brainer that this is where to park money. I'm not saying that it should be in the S&P 500 or in the Nasdaq or in the Dow or any of the ETFs that tracks these indices. It's just a way to be a market participant, be a student of the market, and you're going to be rewarded handsomely. That's what I like to just say. I'm more of a long-term investor. So, and I've seen as a student of the market that, hey, if I put my money in fundamentally strong companies and I stay invested for a long period of time, I'll be rewarded and some, and I don't need to do anything. Just put your money there and relax. That's all. So
Yeah.
it's really, really amazing once you become a capitalist, meaning that you just care about the returns on your investment. It's really,
Yeah.
really interesting and liberating too.
And I also wanted to just echo that whatever we say here is not supposed to be taken as investment advice. It's just for educational purposes. And these are just two friends who love to talk about what's happening in the financial markets, like you like to say, Coach.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit more about what you think about, the recent announcement of about the potential investment of 500, I think 4 or 500 billion,
I think it was about 500 billion. Yeah.
500 billion over the period of 4 years
Mm-hmm.
by this target to the Trump administration. What do you see do you see some potential opportunities, and where do you potentially see the money going? Which companies do you think might benefit from that? Not as investment advice, but just
Yeah.
us uh, keeping track of where the money could potentially be made.
Hmm. So I did watch the announcement when President Trump made the announcement that, hey, this group of companies are going to be investing about $500 billion into
Yes,
AI infrastructure. Again, it mentioned Oracle, OpenAI, SoftBank, and a couple of other companies. I think this morning, Meta announced that they're going to be investing about 60 billion into
yes,
AI infrastructure. That's the capex. The same thing for, I think, Google, if I'm not mistaken, about 80 billion. So these are just a lot. This is just a lot of investment going to lay the groundwork for what is going to be unleashed in the US economy over the next 4, 5, or even the next 10 years. As an investor, this is a bullish sign for me because I know that if they are laying the groundwork for this, it's because they know that if I invest this amount of money over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, I'm going to make more than that. And if I am a smart investor, which I want to believe that I am, I'm going to position myself into equities, into stocks that are also players in this. Nvidia, Palantir, Google, Meta, Apple. Again, I'm not recommending any of this, but I'm just saying that this is what I'm doing personally because why? Those are going to be one of the major beneficiaries of this AI infrastructure work that is being laid right now. And even apart from that, there is a lot of tailwind that are going to happen in the US market generally because why? We have a cabinet that are business leaders. These are people that have run successful businesses before. And I'm just really, really excited about what the next few years is going to unfold in terms of what is going to go on in the capital market, in both the equities market and also in crypto. Again, it's very, very exciting. And I just feel like as a smart investor, I will put my money into companies that are positioning themselves or even investing into AI infrastructure because that's the next frontier. That's the next phase that we're going into. So that's my own take on this target thing. I don't know
Mhm.
if the investment is going to be more than that or if it's going to be lower than that. It doesn't really matter. The most important thing is to know that US is laying a groundwork for AI infrastructure. And boy, oh boy, they are going to
Mm.
capitalize on that. And I mean, they're going to be rewarded. That's just it. So when businesses make this strategic investment, it's because they know that they want to profit out of it. So that's just my own take on this. And I don't know if you have any take on that in terms
Yeah,
of especially in terms
I
of even Canada too.
the tariffs, we will talk about that as well. But I think for me, it's you have aptly said it, Coach, because at the end of the day, I ask myself which are the companies that are likely to benefit from the demand for this, and
Mhm.
Nvidia is clearly a key player. But I was going to ask, you mentioned Palantir, Nvidia. And I know you got in early into Palantir. If I was on the sideline, would you say this would be a good time to get into those individual stocks?
So that's such a good point. So I was listening to, not even listening, I was reading on X. Dan Ives has a price target on for Palantir for $90.
Yeah,
Dan
I think
Ives, one
today
of the
it's over
80
80.
stuff. Yes.
Yes.
So, and I've been following Dan Ives for quite a bit. And I remember when he used to have a price target of $35 on Palantir. Then he moved it to, I think, 57. Then he moved it to, I think, 75 or 76. Now he's moving it again to 90. I'm really bullish on Palantir. It's one of the stocks that I already said that I'm going to double down on this year.
Mhm.
And the reason being that even if it retraces or if even if it's correct, I will just buy more. Because why? I've been in a position where I started buying Palantir in the low 20s.
So you have a pretty
Okay.
good average.
Yeah. But then when it went to 35, I didn't buy. When it went to 40, I didn't buy. Because I was like,
Mhm.
oh, it's gonna come back again. It's gonna come back to the low 20s.
Mhm.
Palantir moved to 50. Then the next is 70. I found myself buying in the 70s again. Even though I was buying in the 20s, but I've been able to still, I mean, my average buying cost is not in the 70s. I think it's around 30 or 40 something.
Mhm. So that's
So
that's a
yeah,
good
so if
margin of safety.
yeah, so if I don't have any exposure and you believe that Palantir is going to do well over the next 5 to 10 years, I would open a position. I will still
Mhm.
buy. And if it
Mhm.
drops back, I will still buy more because why? I have a long time investment horizon on this particular equity. But if you're a short-term investor and you just want to trade in and out, I won't do that personally. But
Mhm.
whatever I'm saying is just because I'm a long-term investor and I tend to focus on what is this company going to do in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And if I believe that, okay, if I look at the price 20 years from today, will I be happy that I bought Palantir at $75 or $80? I want to believe that, yes, I'm going to be happy that I did that.
Mhm.
The reason being that anytime a company is doing something that is changing the way we do business and live our lives, it's something that is just fundamentally strong that, hey, I want to position myself in this. Palantir is not the only player. There are so many other players, but I just feel like I like the leadership. Alex Karp is someone that I really, really look forward to just reading his book. I think it's going to be out in February. And
Mhm.
because why? I want to really understand how the leaders, how they think. Because
Yes.
why? The more that I know about these leaders and I position myself in their stock, I'm going to find time to learn more about them because why I have some money tied in this company. So I need to know what's
You have
going
a
on with them.
vested interest.
Yeah, so that's usually just my own
Yes,
approach. The same thing with Tesla. I mean, I'm reading Elon's biography again because
yes,
why I just want to understand. I have my money here. I need to understand the type of leaders that these people are. So that's just my own personal take that hey, if you don't have any exposure, maybe you get some exposure into it if you have a 5, 10, 15 years
yeah,
investing horizon. So
yeah.
that's my take on that.
For me, I think you raised a very interesting point. I think for me, I would probably wait if it retraces to 50 or less, but I
Mm-hmm.
think I'm concerned about their forward earnings as well. That is too high, and if something happens, but the thing is, there are two ways, at least in my view, of looking at it. They can potentially get more contracts and
Yeah.
build more exciting things. So the price may not necessarily drop
From
unless
the
maybe
yeah.
there's something. But if they don't, the downside right now, from my view, is it would be quite high to get in at 80, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in your case, I would agree because you have a pretty good average, the margin of safety, or I would add more
Yes.
shares each time it pulls back.
Right.
But I was also curious to hear what are your thoughts about the tariffs that are potentially going to be levied on Canada on February 1st.
First.
President Trump mentioned that. I did a video on this channel, and one thing
Mm-hmm.
that I found when I was researching was that about 2.4 million people are probably going to lose jobs here in Canada in scenario
Mm-hmm.
one if Canada doesn't retaliate. That's
Mm-hmm.
according to a study by Professor Trevor Tombe. And the industries that are most likely going to be hit are the computers, aerospace, and automobile sector. Those sectors that are very closely co-integrated to the US economy in terms of as an export destination. So but then if Canada retaliates, then it kind of like can potentially offset those losses because
Mm-hmm.
businesses may tend to downsize and make sure that they can find other export destinations, which usually may take time. So I'm looking at potential companies that may be impacted, and I send out some potential companies that I'm looking at in the weekly newsletter to say if there's going to be that uncertainty and companies drop by 40, 50%, then that
Yeah.
might be a potential opportunity for me to, be invested in those Canadian companies. Because again, by the time the uncertainty clears up, the market
Mm-hmm.
most likely will have fully priced it. So I like to invest in the chaos after doing thorough due diligence,
Right.
understanding the fundamentals, like I've said. So what are your thoughts on tariffs on Canada?
So
Potential
my
tariffs.
yeah, so my perspective on this still stems from leadership,
Mhm.
which again, I know we're talking about tariffs. If we have a strong leader, you would know how to negotiate.
Yes.
Why is the US saying, hey, we're gonna put this tariff on you? We're gonna put this tariff on Mexico.
Mhm.
It's because the US is in a position of strength.
Mhm.
If we have a strong leader, you want to put a tariff on us, we're going to retaliate.
Yes.
Because why? You put in the US first. Okay, I'm also going to put Canada first.
Yes.
Once both parties are strong, then you have a better negotiating power, meaning that none is not, I mean, one country doesn't have the upper hand over the other. That's my
Yes.
own personal perspective on this because, hey, you might say, hey, this is going to go into effect February 1st.
Yeah.
But I still really believe that it really stems or depends on the leadership. If the leadership is strong, meaning that we are going to put Canada first, and if we're going to put Canada first, you're going to need our lumber, you're going to need milk, we're going to need oil from us. Again, and you don't even want to start all of these trade wars because we are neighbors. So
Yes.
again, we need to think of the long-term consequences of all of this and not just the short-term impact of this alone that, hey, if you put in a total of 25% of this, what if this bring something that is inflationary, meaning that things will be more expensive. So
Mhm.
those are some of the headwinds that we also need to consider that, hey, yeah, maybe some sectors are going to be affected, but I tend to look at it from the broader perspective that, hey, why is the US saying that they want to put a 25% tariff?
Mhm.
It's to me, it's because you are in a position of strength and you want to command that position of I'm very strong, I'm going to put our country first. And if we have a leader like that, I don't think it's going to be up to 25
Yeah.
personally, but I could be
Yes.
totally wrong. I could be wrong. Like it could be maybe
Yeah.
10, it could be
Yeah.
maybe they will do the 25% or it will be 25% for a short time. But again, leadership. If we have a strong leader, we will have someone that can put Canada first and will come on the table that, hey, if you do this, we're going to do the same thing to you too.
Yeah.
So nobody's going to chicken out and say, oh my gosh, 25%, oh,
Yeah.
well, at the mercy of the US. No. So that's my own take on this. But again, hey, what
Yes.
do I know?
No, that's an interesting take, coach. And I also saw that Amazon, they said they will be closing their
Quebec.
operations in Quebec. I think about
Hmm.
2,000 people might lose job,
Yes.
and that's the thing. And something that is fascinating for me as an investor, as a capitalist, and I'm not like glorifying that people will lose jobs, but I think it's basic economics to say what that means is I think in that case, people maybe they want, more money through the unions. And from basic economics, that would increase the marginal costs, the operational costs. And as a business, what other business would do is they would either cut costs, right?
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
means other people are more likely going to lose jobs in that case.
Right.
And I do agree that at least sometimes I think it's important to have, a basic or a universal, living income, because
Income. Yeah.
sometimes there are companies that can exploit people. And I'm not saying Amazon per se. I'm just saying that
Right.
I think there should be a basic threshold, because if you look at the profits that they make and all these other
Mhm.
revenues, and people are kind of like maybe asking for 2-3%, right?
Right.
Of that, to say
Mhm.
let's share, let's have something.
Right.
But I think at the end of the day, businesses, they usually like to go where they make more profits, right? Some
Yeah.
businesses, not every business. So
Yeah.
what's your take on that, coach?
I feel like we're going into an age of disruption, AI
Yes.
disruption.
Yes.
Yesterday, I was just watching a podcast and I can't remember the specific article, but it was talking about
Mhm.
robots, like humanoid robot.
Yeah.
All the manual labors that we humans are doing, robots are going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I wonder, what are we going to be doing by then? Because why? As a
Yeah.
business, if I can have a robot that can do the work of this person, and I'm going to pay maybe a quarter of the cost to have a human, most businesses are capitalist businesses, meaning that they
Yeah.
care about the operation, they care
Yeah.
about the returns, they care about where are they going to get the maximum returns on their capital investment. Again, there's going to be a lot of disruption,
Yeah.
and it's just important to position ourselves and not bet against innovation.
Yes.
Again, Amazon closing their facility in Quebec. I don't know the story behind it, but I
Hmm.
just want to think that as a business, what would make that happen? If a business is profitable, typically you won't close the operation. Or if, for example, maybe they are going to be investing a lot into robot and that can do more of the manual labor that is being done, that might be
Yeah.
something. But I don't have the main or the
Yeah.
nitty-gritty details into that. But I just feel like we're going into an age of AI disruption, and it's important to position ourselves strategically to play in this new space. So,
No, that's interesting. I saw the letter from Minister Champagne, and he was basically wrote to the president of Amazon, I think, and basically explaining that this might have some disruptions even across Canada, because that's a hub in Quebec, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
other things or goods, the orders that are made here in Canada,
Yes.
they, then get distributed across Canada. So I think that's just something that I found interesting. Now, I think maybe let's also share some data, economic data, because these are some of the things that potentially move the market, and make a comment about what transpired this week on the economic data and what's going to come for next week. Now, for the economic data, one thing that I've seen is that, this economic data and other news that come out mostly about policy, and even globally from countries like China or even the US, they can potentially move the market. So these are the economic data points that were published today and this week. And you can see that today there was the global S&P Global Manufacturing PMI. Basically, the manufacturing sector, it expanded. And ironically, the market dropped.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not because of this news. I know President Trump is mostly talking and giving some talks. Like yesterday, he was giving a talk to the leaders and to the world who were gathered at the Economic Forum, World
Mm-hmm.
Economic Forum. But one of the things that he mentioned was that he thinks that the rates should come down. And, I'm gonna pick your brain after I just share this data. But I thought
Mm-hmm.
this is interesting because you see the existing home sales, they also came higher than expected because they were forecast to be 4.19. So it means people are buying more houses.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means broadly is the US economy is in good shape. And you can see, unfortunately, here there were more higher than expected job claims. You can see that the previous were 217,000, now is 223. So there was a jump. I don't know what could have caused that. But for next week, they are pretty exciting news items. Bank of Canada, we are going to have a rate decision. And we are also going to have, all these other items. But more interestingly, the Federal Open Market Committee meeting, and they're going to release a statement on Wednesday, 29th of January, and also the rate decision. Now, these are the things that I think can potentially move the market. So for me, as a trader, retail trader, these are some of the things that I factor into my decision making when I'm trading, to say, okay, how is this going to be likely impacting the market, up or down? I like to make money if the market is going up and down. Anyways, Coach, I wanted to hear your thoughts before we jump on to crypto.
I think with the PMI data that came out, 50.1, it just
Mhm.
means that the economy is expanding. If it's
Mhm.
over 50, it means it's expanding. If it's under 50, it means that the economy is contracting. The way that I see this, again, these are just data that can change. And I just truly believe that the US or just the market generally, we're going into an expansionary phase. Things are going to, the market is going to do well because why we're investing a lot into AI infrastructure, into productivity, into things that are going to make the economy bloom. But it
Mhm.
doesn't mean that there won't be corrections here and there. Like today now, the market that started, it's been going up this week and this Friday now, it's red. So, but
Yes,
and we were still saying, oh, the S&P 500 reached an all-time high yesterday.
yes.
So all of this, I try not to pay too much attention to it because next week might be even volatile. Bank of Canada is gonna is gonna be
Making a
talking
decision.
the same thing with Jerome Powell next week, the same day. So I expect some volatility. We don't know what's going to happen, but as a long-term investor, I position myself in strong companies and I just let the market do its thing. So that's my own take on that. I see that the existing, no, not even existing home, new home sales price sales quantity went up.
Yes,
Again, it just means that people are buying, which is good.
yes.
But again, we're going into a bullish season. Whether people are buying at mortgage rate of 7%, 6%, It's just because, again, well, interest rate has been dropping gradually, and people that has been on the sideline for a while, maybe they are finally entering the market, or even maybe the rates that the new construction home builders they are offering to the buyers, it's lower than that has been offered at the bank. That might be something to consider too, that hey, if you go get the mortgage at the bank, it might be higher, but if we do this in-house, you might get a lower rate and people will go with a lower rate, obviously. So
Yes,
there could be different things that could just be going on in that data. But holistically, on a long period of time, I just tend to focus on, hey, where do I want to be in the next 5 years? I buy the
yeah,
stock and let the market do its thing. Because sometimes we can be so lost in the nitty-gritty of what's going
yes,
on with this
the
data, with
short term.
CPI, PMI, and we lose sight of what's going on in the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So I tend to focus more on the bigger picture in the long run. So
As an
that's my take
investor,
as
yeah,
an
for me as a
investor.
trader, I love this volatility from
Volatility.
this. So, David Sachs was talking about uh, the executive order that was signed by President Trump about the crypto. What are your
Yeah,
views? Any updates? And if you have a
yeah,
presentation, please feel free to share with us.
yeah. So I mean, this week has been really, really exciting with what has been going on in crypto. Just
Yeah.
this weekend, I'm just talking about from January 20th to the 26th. The interesting thing is that we've had some executive orders, okay? I think
Mhm.
yesterday, Jan 23rd, we had two main executive orders from President Trump. One of the first things that went into order was number one, creating a crypto working group that is going to work on regulation for digital
Mhm.
asset, meaning that we need to have a framework, a regulation that we can know that okay, this is how crypto businesses or institution can operate in the crypto space. Number two, also the creation of a national crypto stockpile. In simple time, just strategic Bitcoin reserve. Again, these are just things that are going to position the US to be the capital of crypto in general. This again is something that I'm very, very excited about that, hey,
Mhm.
we're having a cabinet that is pro crypto, pro Bitcoin. This again to me is just setting the groundwork for an exciting next 4 years in crypto. The other thing that also happened, Senator Cynthia Loomis, there's Senator Loomis is she's been a staunch crypto bull, bull advocate. Let me just put it that way.
Mhm.
And just yesterday, she was named as the chair of the Senate Banking Subcommittee on Digital Asset. And I feel like this is one of the things that is going to set the groundwork for how the US having a strategic Bitcoin reserve. And apart from that, I think one of the goals is to have 5% of the total quantity of Bitcoin that is ever going to be minted, meaning that the US is planning to have about 1 million Bitcoin in its reserve. Again, this can be over the next 4 or 5 years that this is going to happen, but this is also a very, very bullish sign for what is going to happen in crypto. And I'm very excited that Senator Loomis is going to be chairing and leading the subcommittee. The other thing that also happened, I think this happened today, the SEC repeals the SAB 121. What does this mean? It just means that the previous administration has been really anti-crypto, meaning that they've put in regulations and laws and rules that prevents banks from even custodying or even operating in crypto. So if they're going to be repealing this, it just means that the traditional banks you can also participate in this. JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, just the traditional banks, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, mean that they can even offer the services to their client. This to me is so interesting and even bullish, meaning that crypto is not just going to be seen as something that is just for a select group of people. This can
Mhm.
also be offered by the traditional banks. And again, to me, this is going to increase the adoption, not just from the retail investors, but also from the institutions. The other thing that also happened this week, Bitcoin reached another all-time high of $109,000. Again, we're estimating that Bitcoin is going to reach about maybe 180,000 or 200,000 by the
My
end of
friend is
this
gonna
bull
be
run.
rich.
Fingers crossed. So again, this is just me saying this is not
Yes.
financial advice, but this is just my own perspective on this. This week we saw Ethereum went as high as 3,400. Ethereum is yet to cross its or original all-time high of I think 4,008. But again,
Yes.
we're going there slowly and slowly but surely, okay? And also this week we saw SRP reach around $3.40. The last time that XRP reached this was in 2018, so it's exciting to see that also happening in crypto. The other exciting thing that happened right before the inauguration, we saw the Trump meme coin. Me saying this is just telling me that hey, whether you're a Bitcoin maxi, meaning that you only believe that oh we should just have
Yeah.
Bitcoin, or you're just at the other extreme that hey we can play in meme coins that anybody can create this to me is just saying that whether you want to play in either space or in just Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, XRP,
Hmm.
or you want to go into the meme route,
Yeah.
crypto allows all of that. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that this is the right thing that you need to do because we saw that the Trump meme coin went as high as $75 just a few days ago, and this has dropped over 50% just this week already.
You know
But
what that
again,
means? It means there are some people who got in at 75.35
thinking,
and they got shaved, they got a haircut.
yes,
50% of their money is
yep,
right
it's
now
all gone.
underwater. So
Yes.
those are the
So,
hazards, the risks of not
of
just
in
crypto, but investing in general if you
investing
just
generally,
follow
yes.
things without thinking. And I'm not saying those people they didn't think properly, but
Yeah.
it's good to do your due diligence.
Yep. So again, meme coins, they have no intrinsic value. Meaning they have no value. It's just around hype. It's just people, it's just a community of people that believes in this supposed meme coin. But again, it has no value. We saw the same thing happen with Melania. She launched her own a day after two. This went as high as $13 and today is in the neighborhood of $2. So again, these are just things that a lot of people get into, but in crypto, it's important to know that if you're going to be putting any money, it's the money that you're already prepared to lose because again, it can go to the moon or it can
Or
go
to
to
the
the
toilet,
toilet. So you
like you
just
like
have
to
to know
say.
that. Yes. So one of the interesting thing that we saw was Anderson Horowitz.
Yeah,
Again,
follow
they're
the guy.
closing they are closing their London office and they are literally refocusing on the US crypto market because of all the pro crypto regulations that the new administration is bringing into place. A16Z, this is one of the people that I really respect, and
Yes.
them saying that, hey, we're going to focus on the US and we're going to focus on the crypto market
Mm.
as a capitalist, I pay attention because these people, they don't go into a market without knowing that, hey, I'm going to make a boatload of money. So to me, I just look at this that, hey, I am going to play really big in crypto, meaning that whatever money I have, I'm going to be putting it into crypto. But this is my own personal investment strategy. Again, I'm seeing these are favorite good things that are going on in the market. And just this next week, we're going to hear Jerome Powell talk. We don't know if the market will go up to the moon or we're going to, or if it's going to tank the market. We don't know. The market can go either direction. But I just
I
know
like
that,
the photo. It can either
yes,
go either
up or
way.
down.
Nobody
So
knows
just
what he has up in sleeve.
exactly, but just know that Jerome Powell has so much power to
Yeah,
move the market. So just be ready for next Wednesday, January 29th. This guy is going to be talking and he might move the market either direction. But either way, that is just what happened in crypto this week. And
yeah,
I know that crypto, it's such an exciting place to just
yeah,
play. I always like to say that never invest what amount that you are not never invest whatever you're never invest what you cannot afford to lose. It's also
yeah,
important because why? When the market is going up, it's very, very exciting. But when it goes the other way around, you don't want to make sure you don't want to put your life savings into this. But
yeah,
again, I always like to say that it's important to play in crypto. It's so important because I'm looking at, I mean, I was listening to when Trump was signing the executive orders for crypto. and David Sachs saying that, hey, they want to make sure that the US is a capital for crypto. And here, David Sachs, he owns Palantir, some Palantir shares too. Again, I love
Yeah,
to just copy this
he's
ultra
a smart guy.
wealthy people because they are really smart. They're really smart with money. For them to be positioned in the White House, I want to believe that they know one or two things about how to make money. So,
Yeah.
and if I believe that, I tend to just copy people that are doing amazing things. I'm not saying that they won't get it right or they won't
Yeah.
get it wrong. They will. We saw A16Z closing their office in London, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to do well in crypto. These people, again, if you just take some time to study what's going on in crypto, I strongly believe that every investor should have some allocation into crypto because, I mean, last year we were saying that Bitcoin was at $44. Now it's already
Yeah.
over $100,000. We don't know where this is going to be at the end of 2025, but I want to believe that it's going to be way much higher than where we are today. And again, it's just smart to have some allocation into crypto
Yeah.
because I always believe that that's a smart thing to do. So that's what happened in the crypto market this week. And if you
Yeah.
have any question, let us know in the comment
Yes.
area
Yes.
below. We want to hear
Yeah.
from you. So let us
Yes.
know. So that's my take on crypto this week. Over
That's
to you,
wonderful.
Coach.
For me, I'm kind of like a Warren Buffett. I'm not going to play in crypto. I'll stick
Okay.
on equities. Maybe you should play, do more to convince me.
I know that's the beauty of our friendship that, hey,
Yes,
we don't have to agree on everything.
of
We
course.
just do whatever makes you feel comfortable and you're able to
Yes,
sleep. Yes, some
yes.
people, when they invest in something, they cannot sleep. But
Oh,
I
no.
invest
Yeah.
in things that I'm comfortable investing in.
Yes.
And I also acknowledge that sometimes my risk appetite can be to the extreme. But
Yes.
hey, that's what I'm very comfortable
Yeah.
doing as an investor. And yeah, that's just my
But
own
my friend,
personal
you are very
strategy.
knowledgeable. You spend a lot of time learning about
Mhm.
these things. And even the presentation that you were sharing, it shows that you know what's going on, whether
Yes.
it's the White House, what's happening around the world in the markets. And
Mhm.
I think that's something that is important. I was watching a video from this guy, and he was talking about why everyone should not be a trader because you are competing with people who spend most of their time researching. I wake up at
Yes.
5 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then, before the market open and sometimes pre-market, sometimes I make my money before the market open. I
Opened,
do
yes.
research and I do this. So at some point, but I love doing that, right?
Yes.
And I spend time researching and doing that kind of stuff. And by the time that I make a decision,
Mhm.
I would have
You're
done
comfortable.
some research and I'm
Yep.
comfortable to walk away. Like right now, I took a position. I went
Mhm.
out and I came back. By the
Mhm.
time that I came back before the meeting, I was
Yeah.
logging in some profits. I cashed out,
Perfect. Yeah.
right? But the thing is, I'm able to just take a walk with a very
Mhm.
clear mind to say, you know what, I think with this, I'm confident that this decision, I made the right decision. If it doesn't work out, that's where it's very, very important to play with money that you're comfortable losing,
Losing.
right?
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
put some mechanisms to say, well, if you are in that case, if you are trading, you put a stop loss to say, look, if it retraces to this, I lock in the profit. If it continues to go up, I'm gonna
Mhm.
continue to, you know, to make more
Yeah.
money. If it drops, it kicks you out. But then
Right.
at the end of the day, you like locked in the profit. And I was talking to one of my mentors, we trade together. Sometimes you need a community. And
Yes.
we were talking about this issue to say, I come from Zimbabwe originally, and sometimes there are power cuts. And so
Yeah.
I grew up in that environment where you had to always kind of like be proactive. So
Yes.
I was having an argument with him. He had a position in Nvidia, and I was saying, look, you actually have very good profit here. Lock in the profit because you don't know, maybe there might be power cuts. And guess what happened? Nvidia, it dropped, right? And we're laughing about it to say, look, when I'm trading, I like to be conservative. It's better for
Yes.
me to make 2%, 3%. If I make that profit, I keep it because the market can potentially reverse on you. But that's different when I'm
Yeah.
looking at the long-term investing. I know we can talk again and again. Is there something that you like to comment on, as a
Mhm.
closing remark before we
Yeah.
call it a day?
So I think that this 2025 is going to be an amazing year. When I say amazing, it just means that I strongly believe that both the equities and the crypto market are going to do well. And as a smart investor, for anyone that is not yet participating, we're still in January and it's still an amazing time to learn about the market. It's never too late to become a student,
Mhm.
meaning that a student to learn on about how to grow your money, how to make your money work for you. Isaac and I are able to have these conversations today because we are students of the market. We can
Yes.
easily know that, okay, this is a long-term investment strategy and this is a trading strategy.
Mhm.
And this thing is not rocket science. And if anyone is in a position that, hey, I want to learn this thing, go on YouTube, study. But if you need somebody that is a practitioner, reach out to any of us. Like either of us just reach out, hey, I want to learn about this thing because why? This thing has the capacity to change your life.
Yeah.
Like it has the capacity because we've experienced this, we can see this, and we're
Yeah.
telling ourselves, why didn't we start investing 20 years ago? Because we can see how impactful this thing is.
Yes.
And I said before in one of the videos that I released this week that, hey, the moment you start investing, you start relating with this phrase, the rich are just getting richer.
Yeah.
It's just so effortless because you just know that, hey, I'm going to invest in this and I'm going to be patient with the market and let the market reward me. And that's a bigger game. Money
Yes.
is a game. And those that understand how to play this
They
will
get
winning.
richer.
Exactly. We're getting richer, we're winning, and anybody can learn to play this game. So that's my parting word for this week, and I truly hope that the market continues to be in our favor. So over to you, Coach.
That's wonderful. And in conclusion, I was talking to a friend, a mutual friend, and I shall not mention their name. And we were just having a conversation, and they were saying, "Look, my portfolio dropped, and I saw maybe for a 4-5% drop, the impact, right?
Hmm.
So that's the potential risk of investing, especially, but they held on. And
Yes.
after holding on, what happened is that the portfolios that they have, they invested in Palantir, and who I'm talking about,
Thank
Tesla,
you.
and the portfolio now is even up. So that's the point. It comes with, it's a journey. Sometimes if
Yeah.
you have emotions and if you don't understand why you are holding on to a stock, there's this
Mhm.
temptation of, maybe I should sell now. But if you have conviction, if you do your research, if you
Mhm.
understand, then, like you will be in there maybe for 4, 5, 10 years if there are no structural or fundamental changes on that particular
Yeah.
stock. Now,
Yes.
in conclusion, like we like to say, if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you do so that this video can go viral. And if you like to learn more about trading, about investing, be it crypto, stocks, like what Coach mentioned, feel free to reach out to any of us, and we'll put the links below so that you can easily reach to us. Thank you so much for the privilege of your time. We don't take this lightly. Thank you again, and we'll see you in the next video. May the markets be on your side. Take care.